Hello everyone, welcome to day 8. We are starting the broadcast now, so you can all be here if you can hear this. Our topic today is continuity. So what do we make of everything that happens? What do we make of it? And yesterday we agreed that we'll start talking about, we'll move beyond infinity now. We'll stop talking about infinity. I mean, just because I think it was becoming too big a thing to be talking about, and we were not moving forward. So I think the idea is to start talking about smaller things that we can experience and verify, and just feel, just justify ourselves.
I don't know. Him.
So is this continuity of experience or continuity of doing something regularly as in practice, or like continuity of tradition? How do we think of continuity?
So continuity, as in as a narrative, right? So you make a story out of everything that you experience, and so continuity in that sense,
Okay.
as a narrative, yeah. So narrative thread.
Okay.
Hi everyone, this is Uttam.
Have them.
Can you guys just repeat the last sentence? I think I missed the starting.
Yeah. So we got talking about the day's topic. That's continuity. So what do you make of it?
Okay.
Right, and we were just restating our yesterday where we reached in our discussion, and that is that we'll start talking about things in a way which we can verify or which we can personally experience, and not something as big an idea as infinity, which is difficult to, you can have your take, I have mine, and it's difficult to move beyond.
So very recently I had a revelation that everyone has a narrative of themselves.
Right.
And this is like a huge thing for me, because I thought people operated on logic. And don't ask me what logic is, because I thought it's my logic applies to everybody else.
Right.
Then I realized, no, actually it doesn't. And not only that, people operate on something that they have figured out of their lives, and how they have made sense of the world.
Right. So, I mean, they operate under their perspective.
Exactly. And what was really difficult for me was how do people relate to each other? Like, if you can relate on the basis of physics, laws of physics, for example, or certain established principles, then there is something in common. So how do people even relate to each other?
Yeah, because they all have their own narrative in their heads, and how do they manage to have a common platform?
Exactly.
So what did it make you think? What did you arrive at with the thought?
Then I felt like people pretty much operate from within their perspective, and they seem to look at other human beings as themselves. And that's the starting point, like where if I look at the world as of a specific gender slash race slash height slash color, whatever, and I look at the world through my experience, then other people look at the world also like that. You see what I'm saying?
Right. So, but if there are people who can extend their persona and also enact different personas, right? I mean, if
Yeah.
you think of if you think of actors, like actors can, I mean, that's what they do. They can enact different personas and convincingly.
Right. But can they understand that persona really is what I was finding very interesting, in the sense like I can create a product, but do I really know what it feels like?
If you ask me, you don't really understand anything. It's again like perspective. You think you understood something until and unless there is some anomaly or there is some discrepancy that you see. So again, understanding, I don't think it is like an absolute term.
Right.
It's
Hi.
again based on your perspective.
Hi.
Hi. I don't know who I just said hi to. Is it Siddharth?
Yes, it's Siddharth.
Yeah.
Okay, sure.
I was having problem with my mic.
Okay.
Great.
Okay.
I think this idea of actor is interesting because I think one of the best actings we see is because the actor does feel the persona.
Yeah, and I mean, what I was trying to say was, let's say you arrange a meeting with someone. So you figure that, I'm going to meet this person at this time, at this place. And this person, you go and meet this person, and it turns out to be an actor. That's situation one. And the second time, it actually turns out to be that person itself. But as long as the actor is good, and as long as the acting is good, how will we figure the difference?
Exactly.
You can't figure out the difference.
I think-
I have like a living example for my friend who all the time he acts and nobody knows what his real personality is. He imitates either someone from the class or maybe a famous personality.
Yeah.
Not
So
only,
so when somebody thinks about your friend, do they think that your friend's perspective is the perspective that he enacts or the perspective that he has? Like, I mean, I'm just trying to build up on what Satya said, that people have a narrative in their heads, right? So people have a story, and that story comes from their perspective.
I think you build up the narrative by encountering that actor again and again, like how Uttam just defined that he has a friend. So he has figured out a persona of that friend by encountering it again and again. So you have to be in continuous encounter.
Right. You need various data points from the same person. Are they consistent in what they're saying?
Right.
I think it's more dependent on self-observation.
Well, obviously, self-observation can be one focus, but still, encounter. Sorry.
As Satya said that many people don't act on logics.
Sorry, many people don't work on logics.
Yes, don't work on logic. I think they don't self-observe themselves.
No, we cannot say that. No. I think that's too generalizing that they don't see themselves.
But how can we see ourselves? I mean, how is
I
it
think
even
he has
possible?
I think he has a point, because if you really observed yourself and how you relate to the world, you would start understanding that there is some logic to how things work.
What we can observe is only a reflection. We can't observe ourselves in an absolute way.
Yeah. Exactly.
But people go in a situation, and after when they recover from it, and I'm not able to put up my words properly. Actually, you carry on.
No, you can just try again. I mean, it's fine. I mean, we are not.
No, as you means the people of older age, they have gone through same situation,
Yeah.
but they will not behave, understand the younger ones if they are in the same situation. I think they are
Right.
never self-observed themselves.
Okay, so you are saying that they don't remember what they enacted.
No, they don't. I am not saying that they don't remember. They just observe. They have not that eye when they were on that situation.
So they don't even know what they have enacted in the past.
Actually,
Yeah.
they are working on the force of habit of what they used to be, and now things have changed. The logic has changed, but they haven't observed that how do they fit into the new narrative.
Yes, yes, yes.
Hmm?
Right. So this is keeping
I
track
think
of time is
I think
no.
it's very
Yeah.
interesting when you have acted is after that acting you realize many times that you have acted.
Hmm.
But there are very, means you say to an actor, there are very few actors you can. Not everyone is an actor.
No, we are all
Or
actors, Siddharth. We are all
some are
actors.
good and some are bad, but I think everyone is an actor.
We are all
Some are
actors.
Yeah,
aware of it and some are not. I think Akshay, yeah, some are aware, some are not.
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
But we are acting all the time. That's for sure. That's something we cannot
No,
deny.
it's dependent upon awareness.
That's what we are
Dependent
trying to
upon
define.
dependent upon what?
Awareness.
Yeah, correct.
So you are saying that the quality of acting depends on awareness.
Awareness of what?
Awareness of
Yeah.
self, you can say.
Yeah, yeah.
No, so you're saying awareness of self on the actor's part.
No, on actor's part, but if you can say on a self, on personal in life.
No, I'm not able to understand actually. Let's just go over this again.
Yes, yes.
So Akshay is saying that some everyone's an actor. Some actors are good, some are not good, and then you are saying, but it depends on awareness. Now I'm not able to understand awareness. Whose awareness?
I think
Self-awareness, I'm saying.
How does the quality of acting depend on self-awareness?
I'm not sure if he said the quality of acting depended on self-awareness. I think he was mentioning the consciousness of acting depends on
Yeah,
self-awareness. Some people
yeah.
do it consciously and some people do it unconsciously. That's what he was trying to say.
Acha,
Yeah,
acha.
Right?
Okay,
completely
okay.
agree with you.
Yeah,
Yeah, okay.
makes sense. Yeah.
Can I say something? I was thinking that sometimes we realize that actors better than how to say that when they don't think they are better than when they think a lot. That's true. I mean, I realize I'm a filmmaker, and I realize that sometimes the best actors are not the more conscious, how do you say, aware of their self, and there's more people they act, they just do, and they don't think, they just do what they think, and it's not.
Right. So when a role or a persona is close to their real self, then it becomes more real. Right. So the
No,
quality of acting is more if you
but we
get
can't
close to
talk about the real self.
see, then an actor will have to have multiple personalities, which are all real.
which are all real. Yeah. I mean, I think we all have so many personas, and I think it's all real and it's all a reflection of our true self.
Yeah, I think it's very interesting that one of the best times when we do something, like say I'm an artist and I do one of the best art is when I'm not aware of what I'm doing.
Hmm.
That is true. That's very true.
No, but I'm asking a very simple question, and it's about how can we talk about the true self? Because if we figured that today we will talk about ideas that we can think about, that we can deal with personally, then the idea of the true self is again a mythical idea that we can never reach.
Yeah, that's true too.
Yeah, okay.
No, okay, so if we don't go
No,
on,
the idea Yeah,
Sorry,
go
Mo.
ahead. No, go ahead.
I was saying that if we remove this idea of self, but at least we can analyze the idea of awareness.
Yeah,
No,
yeah. I think awareness was a valuable thread.
okay, but I was thinking more in terms of the proximity to self. And self is not a singular thing. It could be a multiplicity. It depends on not just
Circumstances.
time. Yeah. Circumstances. Okay.
Sorry, Moses, can you repeat again? I missed.
Okay, let me try. What did I say? So I was thinking the proximity to self is what brings out the best in someone. Okay, or what you are talking about. I'm at my best when I'm not aware of what I'm doing, right? So for me, that translates into how close you are to your true self. And for me, true self is not a singular thing. It's a multiple emanation of multiple things again, and it's
Yeah,
it
Moses,
depends on the circumstances in which.
Actually,
Okay.
I have one thing to say here. It oneself is not totally aware of himself. The outcome need not be. I mean, he need not be always in his best way, right? Like sometimes when people are drunk, they are not aware of themselves, but what they do is like all crazy things. So you
No, but
cannot
some
say
of my
that
best
person.
work comes when I'm drunk.
Yes, and probably this guy who is acting really crazy when he's drunk is his true self. He is supposed to be that crazy guy, but then our societal norms and these principles or the enclosures that we put above him makes him not to be of his true self. So when he gets drunk, he becomes crazy.
Yeah, but I think that's what Prayas was trying to say, that we should not go into the debate of what is the true self, but we should
Yeah.
come to the debate of what is the awareness.
No, yeah, because I'm saying that the moment you say that there is something objective, you have to start thinking that there is something called the infinity, because that's the only difference between what is there in your frame and what is there outside.
Yeah, and I think drunken situation is again maybe for some people drunk brings it to the true self, but many times that true self cannot be a universal truth about that person. You cannot say that because he was drunk he did this and that's why he is like this for his lifetime image.
No, but
I'm not
being
talking
drunk
about
generally
judging
is
someone.
about losing inhibition, right? Like you have certain inhibitions which, because of society or because of certain expectations, which fall
Yeah.
because of losing the inhibition.
Yeah,
That's
no,
what I
I
was
agree.
meaning.
But I think that's what Moses was trying to say earlier, that we cannot put one single tag to a true self, and that's why there is no point debating about that true self, whatever medium it appears. But I think it would be interesting that when are we aware of what has changed in that acting behavior?
No, I'm just saying that the idea of anything true, the objective, is difficult to hold, because, yeah, like Akshay said, it's difficult to, you can say that
Prayas,
your
your
idea of true self.
voice is breaking.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was
Prayas,
just.
your voice was breaking. Can you repeat?
Yeah, I was just summarizing where we were at, and
I think too much.
yeah, everyone could hear me. So I was just saying that we can't model that. We can't model the true self. Yeah.
Yeah.
Prayas, can we take a step back? Sorry, Satya, go ahead.
No, please go ahead.
Okay, so can we take a step back and talk about the narrative? Because for me, narrative talks about language, the way we communicate. And talking about language, you must have heard about this app called Yo, YO. So this app recently got a funding of 1.5 million from some stupid angel investor, okay? And all it does is it allows you to send Yo to people, that's it, okay?
Right.
But as a society as a whole, I think this is a progression towards something good. Okay, so we moved on from blogger to Facebook post to Twitter, which restricts us to 140 characters, and now there is this Yo, which restricts us to 2 characters.
It's fabulous.
And
I mean, I really
yeah,
like the idea.
yeah. So a lot of problems arises because of this narrative and narrative that we try to
Right.
explain to other people using language, right?
You're right. I mean, and you're talking about the constraints of language, right?
Correct.
Yeah, that's yeah. So narrative brings us to talking about the constraints of language.
Right, and I think you asked a question to Satya about how do you relate to other people, right? Like, and correct. Yeah, go ahead.
And it's a very confusing thing for me. Actually, I'm actually quite trapped in this, like thinking about this, because what am I relating to, and what is the true self? Is it this? I mean, I don't want to go back there, but the point is, whatever I have in front of me is what I have to relate with, but I have no idea what I'm relating with, and who am I myself? Like, speaking of awareness, like there for years and years, I would deal with people in a particular way, but then I suddenly became aware of certain things in my own behavior and the people in front of me. Therefore, I made an adjustment. So my narrative shifted a little bit. So awareness brought a change.
I think awareness is a very interesting term. It allows us to jump between ourselves and others. We
Right.
almost reach the others, almost sometimes enter the others and come back.
And
It's a
that's
Perspective of others, right? You mean your perspective and the perspective of others.
I think so. It's somewhere in between that gray area where you have the awareness.
and the awareness of what the other person seems to be. See, because sometimes you can see through a person. You can see that this person is totally lying. I can tell, right?
Yeah.
So.
No, but what you're talking about, Akshay, in terms of entering somebody else's frame, are you really entering their frame, or are you entering the reflection of their frame in yours?
Yeah, that's what I said. I think maybe we don't enter their frame, but we at least reach the surface. The
Yeah,
edge.
yeah. And I think that distinction is good to make, because we don't really know anything about anyone, and
Exactly.
I think what we are really doing is only, we just
We are looking at the projection that they are willing to give.
we're just entities that are vibrating because of the noise. That's it.
Because of the noise in the head.
No, so there is some environmental noise, and as this entity, we are responding to that noise and vibrating. So I don't know if we can really think about our purpose in that sense, the purpose of what we do, or like Satya was saying, we can't really get into metaphysical questions about who am I and who am I really, because that immediately takes us out of the game, because we start taking the game as a situation from which we can find out what it is beyond being a game.
No, but you have to ask, who am I, right? Like, I mean, for example, if I know that I am a bigot, and I suddenly realize through my interaction with somebody else that this is how I'm behaving, I have examined myself. I have come a little closer to understanding that I am a bigot, right? Have
No,
I come
think
to?
it's interesting. That entire question of who am I is a trap. And I think what Shortcut was telling us 2 days back was the silence. What we had a debate about silence is maybe the silence of trying to silence this question, who am I?
But is that a good thing? I mean, is it really, should we silence it?
No, it depends, right? So when you realize that you are, or when you got closer to realizing that you are a bigot, then how did it reflect on other people?
That's one issue, yes, but it is also that I have made a improvement in my own relation to the world, right?
No,
Yeah,
but that's precisely where you have. I think that's precisely where you may have entered the trap more.
Yes, yes, that's what
No,
I'm
no,
saying.
wait a second. Like, suppose I am a mother-in-law that wants dowry, and now I have realized that my mother-in-law did this to me, so now I'm doing this to the next person. Is is that realization a good thing or not?
Oh,
If
that's
you
a
act
different.
on it in a positive way, yeah, not just the
Um,
realization, right?
There is something called like can I come in here?
Yes, we can hear you now.
We cannot hear you too much. Can you come closer and say?
Okay, because
I'll increase your volume. Okay.
uh,
Yeah.
uh, okay, thanks a lot. Like there's something I want to talk about, the inorganic logic of life. The non-linearity that Satya was talking about, this finding difficulty between certain interactions where he finds herself into some kind of a difficulty, and this multiple self and all that kind of a thing. To me, that is where the real self lies, basically, in that kind of friction that happens, and
No,
where
but
this
how
breakdown.
can you model the words real self in language? Because I mean, words are links. So, and links are to something that exists. So at this point, we are actually still struggling to figure out if, like Satya was saying, that is it sometimes productive to learn and grow towards your real self, because that just makes you a better person, or is awareness productive sometimes, or do we just do away and junk the idea of you're attempting to know yourself, because in that chakkar we just get lost. So
Yeah, but I think
I
the real self only oozes out in those kind of fragmented frames where when you make some kind of a situation where this delirium happens actually, where this fragmentation happens, which is in a very classical way is called the trauma. That is the only possibility where this some certain kind of a structure breaks down, whether it's language, whether it's a pattern of logic I have been talking about over and over
no,
again,
but
or
what breaks down?
the kind of logic that holds you within that narrative, the linearity of it.
The
It's
logic
the
of
trauma, it's the trauma like where the only where the trauma can get you into that kind of a self back.
No, but I don't understand the trauma
There
of
is a
what? The trauma of what?
trauma of the linearity, the kind of a pressure that builds up this logic of linearity.
The linearity of what tangent? In the sense, are you talking about the effort to know yourself?
Effort to do anything, effort to do where certain logic sold you back to certain pattern. Where that pattern breaks, like you talked about the drunkenness, like or any state of a trauma that happens. May say if you leave a
Right,
house and
right.
you return there, but then suddenly you sort of do something else. Like there is no linearity possible. Once that linearity is sought, you're caught between the devil and the deep.
And that
Because
actually brings us back to the word that we started with, and that's continuity. Because continuity is linearity in that sense. So when you can make sense of things, when you can connect the threads and make sense
I
of
don't
things.
think continuity is linearity.
Yeah, I don't think either.
I don't think so.
possibility of that
No,
linearity.
no matter how nonlinear a narrative is, it's still one. There are boundaries as to what is inside the narrative and what is outside. And if that exists, then there is a
But
pipe.
hallucinations are only the possibility there, like the kind of a part that's us, that some of suppressed, kind of a activity that happens with this delirium or hallucination. Like the breakdown that happens with the structures that we are floating in. So that's only possibility where certain kind of if you use the word self or originality or some kind of a thing happens, where you ooze out certain things.
no,
Where
that's why
where
I think it's important not to ask this question, who am I?
So
But
then
that's
what do you ask? What do you do then?
that's the most beautifully stupid question that's been asked again and again. Like it has reached almost a vulgar notion of a vulgarity in my context.
Yeah, I would agree also. I would agree.
Yeah, yeah, no, there's a problem with that kind of a thing because you sort of seek certain kind of a meaning which is actually a useless thing. Meanings are useless kind of a thing.
No,
And
no,
curiosity.
it's all right. It's all right to say that, and it looks very cool when you say that. but the truth is that at this point, when you're speaking, you're trying to make meaning.
No, I'm not.
Exactly. That's exactly what I was going to say. So what is useless useful? That's what you're saying.
But I am saying this whole logic of having a linearity and inorganic kind of a logic which is physical, like we
Yeah,
always talk about
but you want to junk that logic, but you're using it yourselves. That's all I'm saying.
I'm trying to break it down.
No, but
Why using this logic?
yeah, in trying to break it, you are using it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but one has to use it to break it down. Otherwise, how can I do it? Come on.
No, but we were what we were actually perplexed with was the idea of awareness,
So awareness
right? Because that's something which still seems like we don't know what it's about. Because is awareness? What is awareness?
Awareness starts with some kind of a curiosity. At least we'll agree on that.
Yeah, Siddharth, when you suggested awareness, what were you
Yes.
pointing to?
The first step should be the curiosity for the awareness, shouldn't it?
Yeah, Siddharth is the one
Yes,
who
yes,
introduced the word.
Do you agree with that?
Yes.
That curiosity is basically the cat there.
No, we'll
No, I
just let him
don't think that
introduce.
curiosity is awareness. Yeah,
No, what
it
I'm
does
saying
not depend
awareness
if you are curious that you are only aware.
but it needs some kind of a curiosity to have awareness. Is it right or not?
Yeah, it's a, I think it's a ladder, it's a
No,
step, but it's not.
shortcut. Listen, I think curiosity is the second word we should discuss after we have discussed awareness, because that becomes a step further. So we should first know what is. I agree. I'm not denying that curiosity is a maybe a channel from where you can get
And
awareness.
you're not
But
curious about aware. Like then you look at the aware and all these meta narratives. Like, but the problem with curiosity is it's quite an Oedipial logic. Curiosity is Oedipial logic. That's all.
No, but are you saying that we are curious, or are you saying we are not?
That's why we're having conversation here. Like,
No, I'm saying are you, but are you for it or against it?
He's saying we are having this conversation because we are curious. Is that right?
I think it's interesting what you're bringing. Maybe we can define it like this: that more curious you are, more aware you are.
you can say
You have a potential of becoming.
I'm sort of, trying to look at this word curiosity. For me, it is nothing but an Oedipial logic. Curiosity
No,
is an
what do you mean by that? So the superficial framework insists that we should talk without using hyperlinks. So everything that you mean to say, you should embed it in what you say, and not because I don't want to go and read some books to understand that word.
Like rhizomatic, which is not even a word. Anyways, rhizomatic. So curiosity is not the only way to start awareness. Curiosity could lead to a lot of things. Could lead to inventions. Could lead to discoveries. And I think sometimes anger leads to awareness. Sometimes love leads to awareness. So it's not just curiosity.
Okay.
All right, so Sam, you go on.
Why? You don't want him to speak?
No,
I'm just saying that I think you won that move, so you earned the right to move on, right?
So I think Moses, I would say that, see, that's why I was saying that curiosity is another step beyond awareness, but we first need to understand what is awareness. Because
What is
curiosity
awareness?
might be a tool to reach awareness, but what is
Right.
awareness?
No, if you say then awareness is understanding self, and we are not allowed to talk about self, so we can't really.
Thanks a lot.
No, I think
think,
awareness is understanding anything. It need not be just about self. It can be understanding noise. It can be understanding infinity or the flame or whatever it is.
Correct.
To
Yeah,
me,
I think
awareness.
awareness is more about understanding the relationship.
Yeah, no, Satya, you're saying something, so please
I
let's
was
get back.
saying that awareness is being silent enough to let things move about you, so you become aware of what are all the factors, what are the circumstances, what are the inputs and the outputs.
You say awareness is being silent?
No, being silent helps one to become aware.
Aware, okay.
Oh, okay. So that's again a step to get aware, right? So, but we are talking about what is awareness.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
I think awareness is understanding the moment.
I think awareness is understanding whatever shortcuttable is about to say or is trying to say.
Yeah, but how can we be aware of the future?
Okay, what?
Feature of
How
what?
can we be aware of the future of the conversation, right? So, I mean, you are saying that awareness means to be aware of the future of the conversation. But
No, no,
can
no,
we
no,
be
no.
aware of the future?
I
No, no,
think
no,
you
no, no. I didn't say
I
that.
think awareness can only happen in the past, not even in
I
the
think
present.
Yeah,
awareness
but
can happen only in the present.
In the
Yes.
past.
Yeah.
Awareness is understanding what happened in the past to realize what's happening to you in the present, not about future at all.
Yeah.
so awareness is continuity.
Yeah.
yes.
No, no, I
Because you
think
can't
awareness is
go.
contemplation of continuity, like the previous step.
Right,
Who's,
right.
but who's contemplating?
The present
The
self.
presence, yeah, the present.
What is contemplation? I mean, we're just bringing all these words in, and we
Okay.
don't know.
It's,
I mean, I'm just saying.
pondering, it's just thinking or just trying
We should
to
just say yo. That's
understand.
it.
I think
You.
I think first of all, what you were asking, Prayas, that whether you can be aware of the future. I think you can be aware of the future.
I'd agree
And I
with that. Yes.
sorry.
I said I agree with that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think, and somebody else pointed that awareness is more about being aware in the present. And I think that's a very interesting premise, because being aware in the present is where you can then be aware of the past and the future. So it does allow a opening. It does allow
But
a,
would you say that you're being aware of the future or only making predictions?
I
Sometimes
think
you
you
look at
can.
patterns, right? You become aware of patterns which repeat
Yeah,
themselves.
yeah,
No,
yeah.
I think
But
so
that
you look back into your past and then you look at the patterns and then you become aware of your present and then you predict the future, which is a projection.
yeah, it's
Yeah,
still
I
a
mean,
probability.
it would be
Yes,
too much to say that you actually managed to read the pattern correctly. I mean,
exactly.
because astrologers are essentially pattern readers, and and they are not infallible, right? I mean, anyone who claims to read the future is not infallible.
If you read the
Yeah,
pattern, it's speculations.
But
right.
that's
Yeah,
true
it
for
would
Only
any
the
be
science
speculations.
also, right? I mean, that's
that's
true
true
for science also.
for
For science also. I mean, if we
right,
say,
right.
True.
But you cannot call it awareness.
You'll have to
Yes,
fight
not
this.
awareness, right? That's what we are getting to.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
So Akshay, yeah, that's not awareness, but we can talk about it.
I think
Sorry?
So are we saying awareness is something related to the present?
but to be
I,
aware you should memory. Without memory you can't be aware. You
If
I
you
can't
think
are aware, then you are
awareness
in
True.
is
present.
very much about present. You can only be aware in the present.
Yes.
Exactly.
Okay, good.
Mhm.
If you are
Yeah.
aware, then you are in present.
But
Sorry?
is awareness okay to talk about?
It
I
depends.
think so. Why
No,
not?
I mean, can we individually experience and verify awareness, or is it like another infinity?
see, the
No,
problem with
no.
all these things is everything is infinite. I mean, anytime you go close to something, it suddenly disappears and it blows up. This is the problem with all these words.
That's why I was saying that it can only help us in this fragmentation of a self, like when this trauma happens. That's all.
Words are always useless.
So
Yes. Yo,
Useless is also a word.
yo.
No, no. So I think Prayas, you should not like try to stretch it beyond, but we can talk about the awareness in the present in maybe a finite way. We should try and achieve that.
I suppose we should
Yeah,
accept the limitation of it.
yeah, right. So we accept that what Siddharth is saying, that it's a paradox, right? And
Yeah.
we can't really be sure, but we can, within our own limits, approximate and try to get close as possible to
define
yeah.
situation, circumstances. So I think it would be interesting to go further and say, when are you most aware?
Yeah. So when are you most aware?
When I'm high.
Right. So then, why aren't you high all the time? Why do you come down?
I am high all the time.
All the
I'm
time.
high right now.
Right now is, I mean, you might just have arranged that moment, but I'm asking, if are you really high all the time?
I am.
All the time?
So am I.
Yeah, see?
Are you high enough right now?
Yeah.
Yep.
So if you're high all the time, how do you know there's anything called being down?
Don't finish the debate.
When I look at you.
No, I didn't get that joke, but I'm just saying.
That is how low you are.
No, so okay, Moses, now you took the lead. So what do you mean by high? What are the stage or methods
to
by
get high?
Yeah.
Oh, ways to get high. Oh, really? We're gonna talk about that on air. Okay.
No, we can because being high is another cultural point. It's another mythical point, like infinity. So everyone who smokes pot or does any drug abuse is always talking about being high, and the people who don't really know what that means.
Why are we talking about drugs? I'm not talking about that at all.
So how are you high?
I'm high talking to you people.
Acha, hi. Okay, hi. Okay, I get it.
And why it is an abuse?
Right. It's not an abuse, but I mean, okay. So you're not talking about drugs. Okay, so that's clear.
Yeah, I'm talking about drugs.
You are talking about drugs, but that's fine. That's clear too.
And don't use this word abuse, okay?
No, you can't abuse drugs. Drugs can abuse you. That's fine. But I'm saying so. So Sam, how do you suggest that everyone gets high and doesn't go back down? Isn't that about talking about attaining infinity? And again, it's about I mean, I'm just saying, when you create a hierarchy, when you create a separation, don't you already put a myth that's so profound into the mix that no one can verify it? Can I pay you to be high, and can you deliver that to me?
Nope.
What's the need to do that?
No, I'm saying that can you offer a service?
No, it's a very objective thing. Everyone has to go through their own narrative or go through their own path to find that. So I know how to get high.
No. I think it would be interesting, Moses, if you can define what is that high.
Okay, so now if I define that, then I become that hole in that frame that we are talking about. The border of the frame, the edge of the frame.
For the rest of us who are not high.
Not high, exactly, yeah. But then, if you follow the same route, then eventually you will reach that point, but that's not the high point for you, right?
Yeah, no, but I think at least even if you as an individual can define what is that high for you, and maybe that's what the idea was, that when are you most aware. So maybe many people are very low, and that might be their moment of awareness.
Okay, when I talk about something for 1 hour, that makes no sense, okay, that has no definitions, and then we defy definitions, and then we question the definition of definition. These kind of things makes me high.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's like a very unnatural situation, right? I mean, in the world, you try talking like this to somebody, at least when I try to talk like this, they look at me very strangely.
Exactly.
That's why I'm so happy to be here right now.
Yeah, see, so you're high. You didn't realize that. So now you should be aware that you're high, and that's your awareness point.
Only that
I
strangeness
have
comes
other
from
awareness points too, but yeah, fun,
Mm.
yes.
only that that conscious being conscious about that strangeness, this gaze shouldn't be there. That would be more wonderful thing, right?
Wait, what is that?
I like being. I mean, she said she feels that they're strangely looking at her.
Mm-hmm.
Get rid of that feeling of look back at something very strangely. That feeling of looked at that gaze which it's back.
So
If one
that
gets
makes you high.
no,
That's
I
another
mean
high,
that
yes.
get
Yeah.
rid of that feeling of look back in a strange way.
No,
Like
but why should we get rid of it?
because that
You know,
pulls you
I'm
back.
not, it's not a judgment on myself. I'm not feeling bad that people are looking at me strangely. I look back at them strangely. I mean, what's wrong with you? Why can't you talk like this, you know?
I am saying that will take you much higher up.
Yeah, yeah.
Once you lose that somebody is watching you and sort of looking strangely at you.
You know, but
That's
no, that's not an issue for me personally. I mean, I don't really care, but yeah, I see what you're saying though.
yeah, but it can simply elevate much bigger higher up to you. I mean, can see that.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think Moses also defined it very nice that maybe that strange look can be the high for many people.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
are
like
we
sometimes.
still?
Okay, sorry.
No, please continue.
No, I'm saying some of us, chahiye karke, we do some things just for fun, right? Like sometimes I just ask strange questions just for fun in decent company, if you know what I
Yeah.
mean.
Just to get high.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, so are we all agreeing that talking about being high is fine and it doesn't take us into the same territory of knowing infinity? So because we got over that, because what Satya said earlier, that everything when you approach it will at some point disappear, and we don't need to worry about that, and you just need to do a job and just move on, and be careful about that risk. So we can
Perhaps
talk about it.
you can frame it more a little bit, I think.
No, I'm saying that okay. So being high is such an individual experience
Mm-hmm.
that everyone can verify it, and so we can talk about it. Is that what we are talking about?
No, I think we cannot again. If we put it to individual experience, we will put it on self. But I think this way of being looked at strangely can be checked by many individuals. I think I
Oh,
also get a bit
nice.
high when
Nice.
people look at me strangely or they think that he's talking something out of the world, and it does give a
Yeah.
high.
So being high is something individually verifiable. I'm just confirming that.
Yes.
Yeah,
Right?
Yes.
I think so. Yes, yes.
Yes.
So of all the possible words that we could have, come to, we have come to this word high. So in the sense, that is the most progressive way of talking about what you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
That's a high point. Yeah.
Yeah, that is a high point. Yeah.
There was that whole thing about Aldous Huxley and his doors of perception, right? Like, you open up all the doors and let all this inputs come in.
Mm-hmm.
And he did talk about it in the context of being high. And I just
Sorry, Satya, can you define more?
that book, The Doors of Perception by Aldous Huxley.
I know. Sorry, I don't
Okay,
know.
and you know the
Yeah.
group The Doors, right? Like they got their name from there. But he talks about opening up doors in your mind which allow various inputs to come in, and therefore your perception gets expanded.
Mm-hmm.
So all this talk of being high, and he talks about it in the context of a certain substance. So all of this is just reminding me of that book. That's all.
No, so
What's up?
would you say that being high is a parallel or is same as talking of psychosis?
And I don't know what happens in
So
the.
having a psychotic experience.
I mean, I
Sorry,
don't know
what
if
were you
there are
saying?
some parallels in the physicality of the brain. Maybe there are some parallels. I don't know though about that.
No, I mean being psychotic might is the idea of of being psychotic is basically something outside the bounds of the psyche, right? So in the sense, when you break those social norms, and you know, when you
Okay.
break those norms and
Yeah.
you are being in a way.
Maybe psychotic is being super aware.
Yeah.
Satya, I was thinking about that. That's losing the very perception of a door itself.
Yeah,
What
yeah,
does
very
that mean?
very interesting.
Because with this awareness business, like the kind of awareness business we're talking about, or the high up being, on the higher plane or something high, losing that very sense of being high at the same time, or the very sense of a door, like, how would that be?
Then we are frameless.
Yeah, exactly. What's wrong with that?
Nothing wrong. Then we go back to what we were discussing 3-4 days ago.
Yeah, but shortcut is every day coming and trying to break the frame. So he's the.
No, but breaking the frame is your frame.
Yeah.
So shortcuttable, I mean, I don't really think you can actually break the frame.
No, it's very absurd of you. This is called pathetic fallacy, what you are talking about. So, but I'm saying this, opening all the doors. I mean, losing the very perception of itself, like, and being there, like, again. So, Satya was talking about these doors and other things, like, totally, you are there, okay.
No, but
Losing the very
shortcut is
sense of
interesting
awareness
because
itself.
for us, this opening of the doors actually
What would that be?
maybe you are trying to provide an interesting view,
Yeah.
but what happened is in 7 days of discussion, for us that door became the frame we had discussed few days back. So by your opening the doors, we are directly imagining through our discussion that dissolving that frame. So
Yeah, opening door means expanding awareness.
But my difficulty is that I don't perceive door at all. Like, there's this that door thing has vanished for me. Sincerely, I'm telling you.
But would you define opening that door maybe by going out of the house itself?
No, I'm not talking about the opening the door. I'm saying losing the very sense of there being a door at all.
Okay.
Yeah, but how do you go there? How do you go there?
Yeah, so I mean, if you're talking about being in a boundless space,
You can say that.
so being in a boundless space, how can we personally verify that when you're saying that you're not aware of the frame? I understand you, but then do I? I mean, if you want to tell me that Prayas, why don't you step into boundless space? What do I do?
Yeah, but I was saying that, but losing the very perception of a door itself, like, or multiple doors.
No, but shortcut, as your name says, give us a shortcut. How do we go there?
No, his name is Shortcut,
Lose
not
all the
Short.
doors and do the shortcut.
Yeah, give us.
Shortcut to infinity, like.
No, but we can't talk about infinity because that takes us. I mean, I'm just saying if you want to follow that rule, otherwise we can get back to talking about it. It's not. There's no problem.
Okay, that's okay.
We were talking about awareness.
Yeah. But when you talked about degrees of awareness, does this still hold the, does it still make sense? Because if there are degrees of awareness, then there seems to be something to do, and that something to do is about making your awareness more fine and enhancing it. And is that possible?
I mean, personally, for me, awareness again brings me back to the frame, and moving from one frame is one level of awareness to the next level of awareness. It's the same. I mean,
I do agree with that. That's a problem. Either that is the reality itself, like, you're moving from frame to frame. That's what I say for fragmentation that happens with the self, the kind of a traumatic situation that happens. Either there is no frame at all. There can be only two conditions there.
That brings me back to
Yes,
what we were
third
discussing
point.
a few days ago.
I agree with that.
So moving from one frame to another, we were discussing this few days ago, and we said at the edge of the frame, we experience certain level of discomfort, and then we come to terms with that discomfort, and then we move on to the bigger frame, right? I was thinking about it, and the analogy, the example that came to my mind was of this Django game, right? This Django game, right? Like you pull this small wooden chunks out of this huge
Acha,
tower.
Jenga.
Yeah. Jenga, right?
Jenga, yeah.
Jenga. Okay. So I was thinking at this point where we experience this discomfort means our value system is being questioned, right? So imagine this one wooden piece that comes out, okay, and then you have the option to either push it back in so that this entire structure remains strong, or you can take it out and throw it away, right? And then eventually when you keep throwing it away, at the top level it's okay, this superficial surfacial value system that doesn't really matter, but then there are this core belief system, right? And then when we touch that, then it becomes more difficult. Right. And I don't know what really happens, right? So if you take this last row of wooden blocks away, then this whole system collapses. And probably that whole system collapsing you can term it as infinity or whatever. But I don't know if it's the right way to think about it.
I would think that collapse is moving from one frame to the next.
Also, at each frame, this entire system collapses and then you play the game again.
That's how I would look at it, yeah.
Yeah, because
stop playing the game then.
Sorry?
When do you stop playing the game then?
It's time to go to
actually.
No,
yeah,
then,
this is what I was going on to say.
Then I think we reach to another point we have discussed, that people who touch infinity don't stop playing the game.
Right.
Right, and I mean, what I was saying was that for someone who is bounded by a frame, infinity will look like a frame.
Yeah.
So when we are speculating about it, we are only speculating about another frame, and that's okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, so I said that we can, for us to imagine framelessness, is also making a frame for it.
Yeah.
No. Because as I see myself, that's how I see everyone else too. It is actually a huge effort to understand that the person in front of me operates from a different value system. I feel like everybody is like me.
Yeah, and at a very basic level. I mean, so basically what we talked about a few days back in terms of the edge of the frame, we can go all the way up to the edge and we can even step on the edge, but we cannot step out. In that sense, because even if we are speculating or talking about what is beyond the edge, we are still inside and talking about the outside, because...
Yeah.
It's vice versa, but we had discussed that awareness can lead you to the edge of somebody else, but you will not be able to enter that somebody.
Right, so it brings us back to that, the way we talked about that.
Yeah, and falling off the edge is kind of like the Jenga pieces falling down.
Yeah, that is just, I think that is about getting lost in the frame again. So if you get lost in your frame again, you might really feel that the world is a hostile space because you can't get around it. I mean, you perceive it as a maze.
Yeah.
Yeah, and what I meant by the game thing was that when you play any game, anything, card game or chess or anything, if you win, it does not lose your enthusiasm. You always want to, even if you lose, you want to play it again and maybe play it another way around or play the same way or something, but you keep on playing. That enthusiasm remains with you.
I think the high that you get when you play a game is what makes you play it again.
Yeah. If you lose, you either have the thing that you will win, and if you win, you still have the thing that you want to win again. and you continue with the game.
But there is a third way. It is your nature to play the game, so you play it.
Yeah,
There
yeah,
is
but
no,
that is something what we had talked, that we are all actors. We have to be act.
no, I don't mean actor. It's like painting. It's like singing when nobody is listening. It's like
Right.
singing to an empty room. You do it because that's who you are. That's all you can do.
Oh, there's a robot.
Shweta, we can't hear you. There's a bandwidth problem. So you can type. You can type.
Maybe she's trying to communicate in a language that we don't understand.
Yeah.
Maybe she's an infinity, and she's trying to communicate with us.
No, but if I attempt to respond to singing with no listeners, in that sense, playing the game being a nature.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I wouldn't say that that's the same as talking about acting.
Right. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
So what I meant by acting was that it does not need to be a fake acting or something, but since we are on a stage or any place, we have to act a persona.
Yeah. So in a very theatrical sense, like, yeah, the entire world being a stage.
Yeah, so that's what I was meaning by saying that it is also a game, because we are playing that game not just with somebody else but with ourselves also.
Okay, that could also be.
Yeah, I think many times we know that we don't want to behave like this, but we behave like that. So it's a game between ourselves and also a game with a third entity outside.
Who defines the rules of these games?
Yeah, that can be interesting.
That's too broad, though. I mean, like, there's too many inputs. Anything can define that.
Yeah,
could be us, it could be the person in front of us.
Now, if two person have to play a game, you can't define the rule if you are going to be part of the game, right?
But the something that Uttam said, and I think he has left the room now. He talked about that we play the game because we are chasing the high.
That's one reason we play the game.
Is that not the only reason?
No, I don't think so. I think some of us play because it's a compulsion. That's all we can do. We don't know what else to do.
Compulsion of what sort?
I mean, compulsion is a negative word, but more like I eat because that's what I have to do.
So you're saying that you don't have that much of a choice. You cannot stop singing.
Something like that for some people.
Yeah, I think in the sense you are one of the what you call a ball on a billboard, billiards table, and every ball is moving. So even if you decide not to move, something else will come and collide with you.
That's more external, na? That's like the whims and fancies of the wind carrying you with it. So you don't have any control over it. But yeah, that could be external or internal. That's true.
Yeah.
But I don't agree with that. It's on the whims of others as well, because there's a stick on that board as well. It's some particular ball. But rest of it, I do agree to some extent. Like,
So shortcut, I think we are all born into some situations, and there are some situations which we even if we don't want to do anything, we are forced to become part of it.
Absolutely, we are. Like, but as Satya was saying, that there's a sense of being there in that very much present, like being aware of that, being high on that. If you use the word, being high, like yeah, you're there acting in a way.
Yeah, but I think if we are reaching the end of this broadcast, like we are now, we might have to end with the question that why we are playing the game. So we are all playing the game, and we are playing the game because also in a way that we don't have a choice in the way. So some of us are compulsively playing the game, and we don't really know why. So because not all of us are chasing the high.
Prayas, I only agree with the compulsion part of it. The rest is okay.
I mean, so we don't know why we are playing the game, and I don't know if we want to know why. Also, we don't know. We don't want to worry so much about the purpose.
But what if you know? What if I know I'm playing the game? What if I know?
Yeah. So that awareness of you playing the game is what we are talking about. So we are talking about is that awareness continuity. So is the only way for us to know the narrative, the story so far, is the only way for us to know that is that you're following the script of the game.
Can you repeat a little bit? I missed a little bit.
So awareness only allows you to get back to the storyline essentially.
Yeah, but that you are in control of the whole storyline itself. Like you can change the players in it.
I don't know if we are in control.
I mean, with awareness, you do have a certain better degree of control. And you, even if you may be aware that you're not in control, and that is a kind of control on yourself.
Yeah.
You are driven by certain kind of forces there, but then you know where you are drifting towards, and that drifting itself is with some awareness, like
Yeah.
That's the point I was trying to make. Like, to lose the very perception of a door, then you know where you are, just there, even if it's like drifting with a wind, but you know you're riding a wind.
Right.
They're only making you to ride on.
I mean, but shortcut table. One of the only things we are trying to do here is break things down to be able to cast them in a set of words that we can talk about. So if we recast the metaphor of the door and the door frame and losing awareness of the door frame, if we recast that into the metaphor of playing a game and losing awareness or gaining awareness of the fact that you are playing a game or you're not playing a game, is, I don't know. I think for me that's productive.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. Fine.
In a way that we can take this further tomorrow.
Yeah, I think that's a possibility. I mean,
And I think it's interesting that we are ending with this, and it reminds me of the film of Satyajit Ray, the Shatranj Ke Khiladi. It's very much about this, that there are two individuals who have the biggest stake in the future of a place, but they are only playing a game while everything is happening around.
Around them, yeah.
That's
Very nice.
That's a good example.
Thank you everyone for being here, and we'll stop the broadcast now.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
See you again.
Thanks.